just can't get over this article that was in the New York Times yesterday. And Paul Watson has pointed out what the article actually says. He has a story, Government Readies Youth Corps to Take on Vets. Scouts trained to fight terrorists and more. Here is the New York Times from yesterday. And when you read the first paragraph, it says, 10 minutes into an errant mayhem in his town near the Mexican border, and a gunman, a disgruntled Iraq war veteran, has already taken out 2 people. One slumped in his desk, the other covered in blood on the floor. The responding officers, 8 teenage boys and girls, the youngest 14, face tripwire, a thin cloud of poisonous gas and loud shouts. Bam, bam, fired from behind a flimsy wall. They move quickly, pellet guns drawn and masks affixed. And click on the photos that are on that New York Times page for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. I mean, it's got Homeland Security buses they're practicing with, and Homeland Security's funding all this. And it's not just the Boy Scouts. It's the public schools. Yeah, look at them stacked up there in SWAT team formation in military uniforms. I mean, show people these insanely disgusting photos. Yeah, scroll through them. And then, of course, it shows the dead veterans they've simulated killing. Yeah, that's it. There's 14 of them. Scroll through them at the top for folks right there. See that little clicker there? There the child is in the Kurtzel helmet. There they are with the little guns. And their little, says, tactical police unit. There they are practicing taking over factories. There they are practicing killing terrorists. And then here's the dead veterans coming up. The dead vets they've simulated killing. And you notice the Homeland Security document says vets and gun owners the number 1 threat. You notice that it's in all these other government documents. They're teaching local police the number 1 threat is returning vets, that they're going to have IEDs bombing every town soon. They've got FEMA out preparing mass graves and telling local police to get ready for vets to attack them. I mean, they are really getting ready to go after veterans and gun owners because they know vets know how to fight, have a will to fight. No, it's no big deal once the fight's going. They're not gelded. And so you're the number 1 target. I mean, throughout history, you know, George Lucas, about 6 months after I pointed out that Revenge of the Sith was about government-sponsored terror and government staging terror attacks, that's how the emperor becomes the emperor, is staging terror attacks. I said, and we wrote articles. I wrote an article at Infowars.com, just from the book before the movie was out. I said, this is about government-sponsored terror, Revenge of the Sith. And I said, Lucas is telling you what George Bush has done, because I knew he'd changed what the original novel was going to be. Then Lucas comes out at Cannes and says, I believe the government's staging events, and this is a parallel for today. Now, what does the emperor target when he finally takes over? He targets the police and military. He takes the young paramilitary forces led by the young Jedi, and he sends them off to kill the old police and military. This isn't a movie, folks. This is what happened with Pinochet in Chile. This is what happened in Cuba. This is what happened in China and Russia and Nazi Germany and Eastern Germany. This is what happens over and over and over and over. And I told you, police and military, they got dossiers on all of you. They got Merc teams ready for you. They're ready, ladies and gentlemen, to kill you. And I guess a lot of you are going to roll over, I guess, and just cower and let them win. As for me, I'm not going. I keep telling you, police, you are the target. You are the target. Police, you're not in these documents, the declassified ones. It just says returning vets are the number 1 threat. Most of the cops are the returning vets. See, you're getting reports about yourselves, fools. And they're training 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds to seek and destroy. Read the article. To murder you. It's all in writing. Are you going to take it? Or are you going to join the rebellion against the New World Order? Come on in. Join us. You know you'll want to in your heart.
Network.
It feels good to go from the mainstream media calling me an insane kook for believing in the Bohemian Grove, Bilderberg Group, and CFR, to now Bilderberg Group being all over the news, CFR, Trilateral Commission, Bohemian Grove. And when you read their documents, when you read books by the German Chancellor Helmut Schmidt or David Rockefeller's memoir 4 years ago about how he does want to overthrow the U.S. He actually says that in there. He says, yeah, I'm guilty as charged. I want a one-world government. They just had 50 top journalists come out yesterday and call for world governance. And they said, yeah, it's got to be authoritarian to protect the democracy. It's an authoritarian system that's a democracy. That is, we let you vote on what we decide you can. Like you can decide what color, little helicopter cap to wear. Do you want a pink one or a green one? And then we decide which black ski mask police take you to what FEMA camp. But again, you can decide what clown noses. You want a blue or red clown nose? That's the freedom you get in the New World Order, is you get to decide, I guess, what colored jumpsuit to wear in the prison. But when you read the Club of Rome documents, CFR documents, everything is the carbon tax, taxing the carbon cycle of the planet. We're carbon-based life forms. The ocean's full of carbon. The trees, the trees breathe the carbon dioxide and put out oxygen for us. They've done studies, and the Earth is starved right now for carbon dioxide. It's been 14 times higher from the ice core samples. Trees grow faster, live longer, humans are healthier, higher oxygen. We're oxygen starved. And we're on an 11-year sun cycle. That's what mainly controls this, but there's some other things. They know this. They brag. Al Gore owns the two big companies that you'll buy the carbon credits from. George Soros says, I'm having a great controlled crisis. You're making the biggest profits in my life. This is the culmination of my life work. I've done this. Ha, ha, ha. This is funny to them. And Marc Morano has probably got the biggest alternative news site, which is as big as a lot of major newspapers, exposing the complete fraud and the new religion. Now, the elite know it's a fraud, but for the public, they say in their own documents that we've covered here, we're going to give them a new religion of Gaia, then this will be organized by the state, and we'll have a one-child policy. And this is what Hitler was for. Hitler was for controlling the population and a vegetarian and an animal rights guy. And this is what they believe. These are control freaks. Prince Philip, Ted Turner, all of them. So climatedepot.com, the Committee for Constructive Tomorrow, environmentalism think tank. He worked for director of the Republicans on the U.S. Senate Committee for Environment and Public Works, worked for Senator James Inhofe, who we think's one of the better senators up there on these issues. Good thing when this propeller fell off his plane, he didn't die. They sure like to kill a lot of them that way. And he just does so much more. But now we've seen the Republicans flip-flop after Bilderberg 2007, and suddenly a lot of them have gotten behind it. So we're in a lot of trouble here. And they're calling for climate change denial. If you say it doesn't exist, they say that's like denying the Holocaust. You should be arrested in Europe. They're trying to get us to sign on to the criminal court, so we're under these laws. So fellow heretic, fellow thought criminal, man out there kind of aggregating all this news and information, and the tens of thousands of scientists saying that global warming being man-made is a fraud. Marc Morano, a serious thought criminal. While we're still able to talk to him, they're trying to outlaw what we're about to do. Sir, thank you for coming on, Thought Criminal.
Thank you, Alex. Happy to be here. Yeah, you mentioned the denier and all that. We have a CBS News reporter, Scott Pelley, who literally has publicly said he will not interview any scientist skeptical of Al Gore or the United Nations view of global warming, because for the same reason, if he was doing a story on the Holocaust, he would not interview any people who denied the Holocaust happened. They have returned this into sacrosanct, and you're right, the late Michael Crichton, the author, was one of the early ones who called this a religion. There's on my site right now, climatedepot.com, we have a 7th grade girl in school who won an essay where she says we need a climate exorcism. And she says we're being haunted. I mean, these are the words of religion. These are the words of faith-based thoughts, not science. And if you look at the polling data, the American people are actually growing more skeptical, dramatically skeptical, in the last few years, as the Earth has failed to warm, as more scientists come out, as new studies just make a mockery of what Al Gore has claimed. But what we're finding is young people are still the most firmly and committed believers. And I've spoken at elementary schools. Kids are worried about polar bears and flooding, both of which are completely manufactured scares by the global warming industry. Sea levels, there's no acceleration in sea level, and if one of the scientists said if sea level's rising due to global warming, no one's told sea level.
Well, the ice caps grew by, 30% this year, Arctic and Antarctic.
Yeah.
But I mean, look. When they show a polar bear on the news and say, "Look, he's drowning," they know polar bears are the greatest land swimmers on Earth. They can swim hundreds of miles. I mean, this is such a scam. I mean, Gore just is laughing all the way to the bank. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, particularly polar bears are at or near record highs according to U.S. Geological Survey. The only way they're threatened, and they're not even threatened here, there's a computer models. The bottom line is they've survived